It's having these conversations, I feel like, are so important because I think a lot of people might just be accepting, like I have a girlfriend who's like, this is just the way it's going to be. And I'm like, but
Mhm.
does it have to be that way?
Mhm.
Like can't you have both? Like, can't you be fulfilled at your job and work really hard? Does it always have to be the trade-off have to be like burnout? Like,
Mm.
okay, yeah, I'm going to achieve these things and it's going to be at the cost of my health. I'm going to be burnt out and I already know. So, I think wrestling with that concept of it doesn't have like you can have your cake and eat it too. But you can find such a great balance of like what matters to you. And I think the best leaders do it.
You don't have to have a title to lead and influence others.
Yes.
Welcome back to For the Doers. I am Sayda, your host, and with us is Janis Sadoyama, who is a branding expert and a friend of the show and a friend of mine. Hello, Janis.
Hi, Sayda.
How are you?
Good. Oh, I'm so excited for this conversation.
Me
But
too.
truth be told, I'm excited for every conversation we have
Aww.
together.
I appreciate you. So, episode one, we are back. For those of you who have heard us before, I think it's been almost 3 years
Wow.
since we started we started it 4 years ago,
Time flies.
2021, right?
I think
I think
so.
it was 2021. And yeah, time flies. We did 34 episodes, and a lot of things have happened and changed since then. Um,
But
I,
how interesting that you came back to it.
you know,
There's a pull that you like, there's something that happened where it pulled you back to it.
well, with everything, I posted and ended up taking down a couple of episodes because it's like I'm a doer, I'm a thriver. I want to do the thing. And sometimes even when I don't know how to do it.
Mhm.
And this is why it's so important to be in tune with yourself, because I have been on a journey of self discovery.
Mm.
We did an episode, which I ended up taking down, about my journey as a survivor of sexual assault and sexual abuse. And the difference is that I had to get past being in victim mode, you know,
Oh.
because when we recorded that, I was in victim mode. I can see that now, but I think for a lot of survivors, it's just about getting it out. I grew up in a time where you were seen and not heard, which is why I never told my parents about what happened to me, in spite of the fact that they knew a lot of these people. Um, but this journey has brought me here to right back to doing what I love. So yeah, it did, like, I feel like it chose me in a way, right? It chose me to say, I love doing this. I'm consulting now, so I'm not around dozens of people like I used to be. But what remains is that passion to help people be successful. That's the doer that I am.
Yes, it is. And I think it's so interesting too with, when you when you step out of a corporate role and you do consulting and it's essentially clients that you choose to work with or you
Right.
decide that you guys are a good fit and then you're working together. The dynamic is so different than a team environment where you're like, okay, let's see, we're going to have to work with what we have
Right.
versus
Ooh.
the flip side is like, oh, we already know we work well together. How can we? I feel like the momentum's higher.
Yes.
Not to say there can't be momentum on a team setting, but it's interesting like the shift that happens when it's your company, it's your consulting, it's how
Mhm.
you want to lead and educate and bring people along, um, versus having to work with a team that's given to you, or sometimes I'm sure, right, like you had a team that you didn't have any hand in choosing,
A
so it
couple,
was
yeah,
like a
a
lot of
few
times it was like, Sayda, come here and fix this.
Woo, that's a subject for another day. But yeah, it's and listen, and it depends on the environment too, because yeah, I've had some teams that I will work with those same people to this day
Mm.
if I can. But yeah, it's having a little bit more control when you become independent and choose who you want to work with or who you can work with or who you're capable of working with. Discernment. That's another thing that is so important when you're working independently. But I digress. I started getting ahead of myself because the title of the episode is Bet on Yourself. Why not you? And I know you're going to say the same because you have been working independently for how many years now?
Oof. It's 16. It'll be 16 this year,
Oh my God. And you
which
look
is
like you're 12.
wild. And it goes, what'd you say?
I said, and you look like you're 12.
Oh, thank you for that. They're like, yeah, okay, 16 years, baloney. I was like, I knew you. I was thinking about this pre-internet, people.
Oh my goodness. But when did you decide that you were going to go out on your own?
Oof. So I wish it were this beautiful, glorified, like Jerry Maguire moment where it's like, burn it down. I'm gonna do my own thing. Who's with me? But it absolutely wasn't. It was a terrifying journey, I think.
Ah,
And it wasn't one that I thought I was gonna go on.
interesting.
Um, because well, so I worked in advertising
Mhm.
and I've done design on the brand side and for the agency side. And at the time I was working for an agency and I thought, listen, I always thought like that was it. Like you work for an agency, you work your way up, you become a
Mhm.
creative director at an ad agency and like life is good.
Wow.
That's what security to me felt like. Um that's what I felt justifying my degree in art was. Like having a degree in graphic design feels a little fluffy, but I was like, oh, if I'm head of an agency or if I work for an agency, like that legitimizes that degree. So
Interesting.
it
Legitimizes.
represented a lot of things when I worked at in advertising and then I got laid off. I was in I was in the process of finishing up grad school because again, I was like I needed another thing to show and to prove that I was like credible in this space. So it was like,
Wow.
okay, I'm going to get my master's degree in communications management in the branding realm to really like put weight underneath a graphic design degree. And then I got laid off and I was like, what now? What now? Um, which is interesting because I think in hindsight, it's very much I thought that the agency was security, but in reality, the only security that we have is ourself. Like, how do we? And that's why I'm so passionate about when people talk about like building their brand, I mean, whatever you want to call it, your professional reputation.
Yeah.
It's the thing that will always go with you, no matter what company you're at, no matter what brand you work for, no matter which clients you decide to work with. It's you or you, and there's no separating it. Like,
Mhm.
it's not like working for a company and being like, okay, I'm clocking out. It's this continual build. And yeah, I think it's a long question to go back to, like, betting on yourself, but I want to say it didn't come easy, and it doesn't feel natural. It
Mhm.
didn't feel natural then. It's a little bit more natural now because I don't know what the alternative feels like anymore, if that makes sense.
That's fantastic.
It's strange, but, like, I mean, trust me, there's seasons where I was like, "Do I need to, like, I should look at my resume. Like, do I need a job? Like, do I it's and it's I mean, not to sound woo woo or, kind of going through that space, but I think it's what energy you put behind it too. If you
Mhm.
have this doubt that you feel like somebody else is going to save you, a company is going to save you, a company is going to give you security, I think you go about the process very differently than if you're like, hey, you know what? I have so much value to bring. Let me find a company or clients that align with that. So I
Mm.
think it's interesting because it's two different perspectives, but I think at the end of the day, betting on yourself means you have value to share. And I
Yes.
think everybody does. I think
Yes.
everybody does, regardless if you have a degree or not, regardless of it's if you've lived life, there's value to share because you've have experiences that no one else has.
Which, I mean, this is what this is about.
Mhm.
What this ongoing conversation is about is, you don't like, for me, I didn't even think that consulting was an option. I didn't
Interesting.
think about it. I've worked for large companies my entire career, most of my career. And yeah, I couldn't even imagine going out and just doing that.
Mhm.
I had to, I didn't have to. I have to say I'm grateful that I was able to take time off to work on my mental health. I had to get trauma therapy because it had gotten so bad. And I am very privileged to have been able to take a couple of years off. Necessary, absolutely necessary. And when I started getting back on my feet, I had a couple of friends ask me, luckily I have friends all over the world,
Mhm.
and there were some friends that needed help to possibly open a store here in a flagship store here in Los Angeles, uh, that already does very well in Europe. And I started helping them and partnering with real estate agents and looking that are also my friends, and looking at different locations in different parts of the city. And I love LA. I was born in Brooklyn, but I love LA. And I know LA, and I am a business person, and I do this for free. I want to know what's going on in every single neighborhood, which businesses are doing well, what the demographics are. This is what I do for fun. Then when I was applying that to actually helping someone start their business in an international city, I was like, oh my God, I'm I'm pretty, like, I know what I'm doing here.
Heck yeah.
And discovering that I have that value, which a lot of times we work hard and we're creating this career and we don't even stop to really look at the value that we bring and appreciate ourselves.
Mhm.
Every once in a while I do look at my resume to redo it and I'm like, girl, you did that thing. You have those skills. And that's what brought me back around to this conversation. Like I said, I'm not around as many people, but this is like my love letter to the doers that I know, my friends who are professionals and so great at what they do, and they don't always get their flowers, and live with purpose. That's what this is about is I'm living with purpose now. I think I always have, but now I've proven to myself that those skills are mine. This is who I am, which is an amazing feeling. It doesn't always feel that way. Trust and believe that security of the paycheck and all of that is wonderful. But I've proven to myself that I have the skills to be able to be a consultant, to continue to do what I was doing before, but from a different perspective.
And one
So,
would say it's from a really strong perspective because you've been on the flip side. So you know what it looks like to be a company that's hiring a consultant or having somebody, bringing in an expert and what that looks like. So it's interesting seeing it from a different, like you said, like a different perspective.
yeah, it is. And I've seen how useful it can be to companies to have someone who's objective but
Mhm.
supportive
Yeah.
to their goals to come in and say, "Oh, okay, this can be you can improve it this way." I mean, what I've done so far is help entrepreneurs and some companies elevate their offer and also build better relationships because that's what I love to do. Is making the most of the relationships that you already have as a company because any company, it doesn't matter how large they are, you're losing money somewhere.
Mhm.
With you can look at the obviously retail was has always been in my somewhere in my career, whether I worked retail and I worked wholesale, I worked corporate, but you can have a store and it does really well, but you're still missing something
Mhm.
somewhere. It's never going to be 100%, but thinking about how you can improve what you already have is
Well,
something that is not always easy to see when you're in motion.
100%. And what's interesting is that, tell me if it's true for your business too, where you shouldn't pump the brakes when things are going well. It's almost like a time, like, people bring in consultants, they bring in, like, I'm asked to come in and do rebrands and things like that when things aren't working. But when
Right.
things are working, it's kind of incredible to be that third person perspective, come in and be like, okay, you do this really well. How do we do more of this?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, you know, don't just get your car serviced when the wheels are falling off. Make sure
Right.
that you're doing your, oil changes and
Yeah.
tire
Yeah.
rotations. It's like, I would say it's business maintenance.
It
So I
is. It
think
is maintenance.
that's so important. Like, as a consultant, like, that job is so important because you come in, you assess the entire situation and you're like, how do we make this better? How do we keep doing what's working? But how do we also optimize the shortcomings? Like, how do we fix the shortcomings and make it rise to the occasion?
Yes, exactly. It's and again, yeah, you shouldn't wait until it gets, it's like
Bad.
the car stalls. Um, but what I wanted to speak to or go to segue to is I couldn't have done this if I didn't know what my specialty is, what value I bring. And I think that that's where you came in for a lot of that for me, when I was really, I don't think feeling terrible about myself. I think shortly after my dad passed, or
Mm.
it was, yeah, something like that, because when you have these huge life events, we had COVID, I was taking care of my dad while COVID was happening. And Whew, that was a lot. And those are the things that do help you say to yourself, what are my priorities? You know, if I make it to my dad's age, what do I want to remember that I did? How did I live my life in a way that I'm proud of? You know, lucky enough, my dad was proud of me. um, but yeah, that was such a pivotal moment that it was when I really started looking at, okay, what is my specialty? And, what do I love to do? Because my career is not a jump off to something else like a lot of people think.
Mhm.
That's once again, this is why this conversation is so important for doers, for people who are building or have built a career. But we've gotten used to thinking burnout is a good thing. It's not a good thing. Burnout is not good. We actually had a great conversation on that a couple of years ago. Now I just remembered with our friend Julia.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was a good conversation. And burnout happens, I think, in my opinion, and for me, when you don't see that value that you're bringing, you're working your butt off, but you don't see the value, or it's not reflected in, whatever environment you might be in. Um, and I think we get caught up, and even when it's time to make a change, that's where that fear comes in.
Yeah.
Like who am I to like go out on my own, even though I got laid off, which I've been laid off many
Mhm.
times. And yeah, it's like that's when you really start questioning yourself. Or, it's not going well at your job. That's when you really need to lean into your value, who you are, why you got into it in the first place. One of my many jobs when I was younger, I don't know how many jobs I had when I was younger, but one of my favorite jobs, I was a ride guide for the AIDS rides.
So cool.
And the one of the most important things that I took from that, because you have these incredible people who are riding their bikes for 100 miles a day to raise money over somewhere between 3 and 7 days. Sometimes these rides um, would go that long. And the question that we always went back to was, why did you start to do this? Why are you writing? Amazing. Like, why did you get into it in the first place? And it seems simple, but it's always like, oh, there is a wonderful, powerful reason. That's why you got into this. And that is when you start cultivating or knowing how to cultivate your specialty. What is your specialty, Miss Janice? Miss
Ooh.
uh brand person extraordinaire. Because for you, and before you even answer, I mean, this is why we connected, because I was in a place where I was trying to refigure myself out,
Mm.
and the exercises that you helped me with were indispensable to my growth.
I love it. Thank you for saying that. That means more to me than I can even express to you because it's it's not a deliverable, if that makes sense. It's not like, oh, you package these beautiful like branded material for me, or
Mm.
it's not a tangible. um I do want to go. I'm gonna bookmark that real quick though, because
Yeah,
I want to
bookmark it,
go
girl.
back to what you said about asking yourself why you got into a job or a position or a specialty and for a reason, and like checking in with yourself. Cause, going back to the burnout piece, I think asking yourself why you do what you do is such a good alignment check,
Hmm.
because when you're burnt out, I also think it's when you're out of alignment. It's like you
Ooh,
said, like, oh, there's no visible
yes.
value, right? You're like, oh, there's no visible value. I don't see my,
Hmm.
like, what I feel in my bones and my heart and putting out there. Um, I don't see it in action.
Yeah.
And I think it's frustrating because you keep grinding. And when you still don't see it, it's like, okay, so what's the point? And I think with a lot of people in corporate, like even talking to my friends, like hearing them, I mean, they're just burnt out on all ends, where they're like, there's so much work to get done. There's always more to do. And it's to what end? Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like, at what end is it just like you're cranking out all this work and you're doing all these things, but is it in alignment with like what the end goal is? So it's just, that piece on burnout, like I know it well. I think when you have your own business, you can burn out
Oh,
too.
yeah,
But I
definitely.
think coming back, I love that question of coming back to why you do it. I know it sounds so fluffy when people are like, "What's your why?"
Yeah,
But if you're not clear and if you're not honest with yourself about what your
that
why
part.
is, yeah, it's you're going to be chasing this thing. And I had said it was a little polarizing, but I said, don't we need to stop chasing passion and start chasing like what can we be useful for? What can we bring
Woo!
value to? Sayda, I got so much heat for it. I was like, do I delete this? Like, I've
Wait,
never like,
what?
yeah, so much heat for it.
Stop
People
it.
are like,
What
you
did
don't.
people say? How dare they? And where is
Um,
that so I can go comment?
I think it's on TikTok because I feel like I'm my most unfiltered on TikTok, where I'm like, let's be real. Like, let's stop calling. We do things out of passion, and we need to like follow our passions. But like passions fizzle. Like
Yes.
it's not you're not going to be passionate every day. Cuz guess what? It's just not realistic. It's
Well,
not realistic in
yeah.
anything. You're not going to feel passionate to on day like 363 like you're still grinding, you're still like putting your stuff out there. Are you going to be passionate about it? Probably not. But if you're like, hey, you know what? If this helps somebody get through a challenge, or it's going to help navigate them through something they're going through, because I already did
Mhm.
it, like share it.
Yes. Oh
Do you have to be
my God.
passionate about it? No.
Yes.
It's a tough one. But then I'm like, thank you so much. It's coming from a place of wanting to share value. And I think when you fall on that, like it's it's like a more sturdy place to stand on than like, no, branding is my passion and I'm going to talk about passion. It's like, no, I'm here to be useful. And if that's useful for somebody, take it.
Yeah, passion is one of those overused
Yeah.
words.
I mean, it's good
Um,
to have it, but it's at the same time, it's like,
no,
is it
it's
going to
it's
drive everything?
no, passion doesn't drive everything. Purpose does.
Ooh, that.
Purpose is what
Maybe
drives everything.
that's what I should have rewrote. Maybe that's what I should have like positioned it. We'll see. We'll A/B test this thing and see how that goes. Because I was like, whoa,
I might have to get on there and back you up a little bit and do
people come in swinging. I'm like, okay, okay, okay.
I gotta go check that out because that's ridiculous. But again,
Mhm.
that message isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
And those people aren't aligned
Mm-hmm.
with what you're saying,
But I
And
think too, it's like if it strikes a chord, could it be because somebody feels so passionate about something and they're like, no, this is it is what drives me. And then I want to, of course, because I'm like, I'm super curious, how much digging can I do where it's like, oh, at the end of it, it's really because you're making a difference or you're helping somebody or you're making an impact in some sort of way. Like to me, that
right.
translates. Passion is like the after effect of when you do those things, because then you get lit up by it.
Hmm.
So
That's
it's
why
interesting.
passion is personal.
Ooh, that's a good one
It's
too.
true. Passion is
It's very
personal,
personal.
and with everything that's going on, I mean, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now.
Absolutely.
And you have to understand that we live in a society. We live in a society. It's not about you, it's about everyone. And you have that. You are, like I said, a doer. You are
Mhm.
the type of person that's thinking about how you affect other people. Somebody who's like, I'm passionate, does not think generally, if they think that that's the most important thing, they're not thinking about other people. They're thinking about themselves.
Oof, I never thought about that. Passion is self-serving. It's like it's personal. It's I don't want to say it's self-serving because people
It
are
can be.
passionate. Yeah.
It
But
can
it's
be.
personal. I think like you hit the nail on the head where you say passion is personal.
Yeah, I think passion is personal. Passion is for you, but what is your purpose? To what purpose?
Yeah.
How are you helping? Is something that's so important right now is building community and
Ooh.
being part of a community. If you are helping to build something, community, whether it's, with your friends and family, which is
Mhm.
usually who it should be with, and whatever work you're doing, you have to have a purpose. And that purpose is not personal.
Yeah.
It's for the good of everyone.
And you're
And
working towards something.
and
Like
you're
you're all
working,
collectively
yes,
working towards
that
something.
part collectively. Um, yes, some people are just working on their own, but let's read the writing on the wall. It's time
Mhm.
for a community and for the people who will step up, not just for themselves, but for other people in their community. I think that's how we we can look at reality in the face, because you have to right now.
Oh yeah.
Even online, you're seeing people are less distracted by, oh, just got a haul of like 500 items for, $5. No, but no, no, that's not the purpose right now. You have to be real so that you can still have the best life possible for yourself and for those around you.
I love that.
That's who this is for. And it's okay if, you know, people don't get that message, because the right people will.
That's kind of a tough pill to swallow sometimes. I think for a lot of people that are, just starting out or, even making the transition from corporate to where they're like, they're their own voice now and it's not like hiding behind a company. Or I
Mhm.
shouldn't say hiding, but you don't have the company's identity to adhere to yours,
Right.
where people don't like to rock the boat with like their perspective or their, like everything's and I did it, Sayda, I did it for so long, where I'm like, oh yeah, like how vanilla can we make this so that it doesn't offend anyone?
Ooh,
It doesn't upset anyone. It's just, but then it's like, it's just more stuff. Like I love me a motivational quote, but like how many, at a certain point, if you don't anchor it to like, okay, what does that mean to you? Like you don't go to
yes.
the next layer. It's just more regurgitation of surface level stuff. Like give me
Yeah.
a little bit more to that. Like how did that speak to you? How is that applicable to your situation? Like, and it's not even like you don't even have to go like so personal. Like you don't have to divulge your personal life, but it's give it some context. I think context and framing is so important because it makes you see things in a different light.
Yes.
Like you telling me your background and the fact that I'm sorry, but you've lived like 15 lives. You, you drop
There's a
these like
vampire.
nuggets. You drop these incredible like knowledge nuggets, and it's like and you so casually do it. It's like when I led a team of 500. Da, 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 I'm like, hold the line. Can we talk about the team of 500? Can we talk about like we need to I need more of that. But it's so true. And I think so many people take for granted what they do naturally because it's a
Mhm.
progression of their experience and expertise throughout the years, building their career, building their knowledge base. And now it's like, same with consulting. You're like, oh, I can do all these things because I've done it for years. This
Yes.
is what they're hiring me for. Of course, they're going to hire you. You have so many years vested in huge corporations, especially like during their growth spurts. So it's
Right.
like, not only did I work for these companies that are massive, which we should totally do an episode on that. But anyway, but also it was how, and whatever metric you see it as, like being profitable or scaling to new stores or having bigger reach, global reach, that that is interesting to me, where
Mm.
it's okay, give me the background. Sure, anybody can say, like, it's like, don't read me your resume.
Yeah.
Read me like what happened. What did you go through? How did you do this? How did you bootstrap something that didn't exist? And you're like, guess what? We need to build a team specific to X, Y, and Z
Right.
because I experienced X, Y, and Z, and now there's a need. Like, holy, like that's a masterclass. That in itself is a masterclass because you lived it, you
Yeah.
implemented it, you created it all from a need. Like,
Right.
that's gold. That to me is freaking gold.
Thank you.
So cool. And so incredible. And I think so incredibly applicable and actionable for people who, like, it's not, it doesn't even necessarily have to be the same industry, but the
Right.
concepts are the same, and like how you build and how you scale are the same.
Well, and that's what's important to note also is, yeah, you're bringing this once again. It's not just about you. It's
Mhm.
about the collective.
Mhm.
You know, my special powers are only activated by other people.
I love that.
You know, and to your point from earlier, alignment.
Yeah.
You know, alignment is what helps you recognize, oh my God, I can help with this. Oh, let's look at this over here. This could, we're leaving money on the table right here. We could actually do XYZ. You know, okay, I've never had 500 employees at one time, maybe like 100.
Semantics, but you know what I mean.
Just putting that out there for the haters.
And she's modest too, everyone. Just letting you know. She's like,
Well, it's just like what you said earlier, you know, the people who didn't like what you said about passion are just not aligned with you, and that's okay.
mhm,
That's okay.
yeah,
There will always be trolls in real life and online. And you have to move forward in spite of that,
yeah.
you know.
Well, that's what I think I love about having conversations like this, because it's not just polarizing reaction. Like, it's not just emotional reaction. Like, okay, at the jump, you're like, okay, like, of course, my initial reaction was like, oh shoot, do I delete this thing? All, and then you go through the
Interesting.
waves of like, oh, do I dig my heels in and like double down on this
Dig
thing?
your heels in, girl.
But I think the at the heart of it, it's like, okay, how am I going to communicate where I'm coming from? And I was like, forget the other person who's listening. I feel like that's such a good tool for myself. Is like, how
Mm.
can I work on my communication skills where I can articulate, like, this is the space I'm coming from. So the same thing, going back to like your background and kind of giving context to the situation. Like, this is why I feel this way. Is
Right.
because after 16 years of doing this, SHIT sometimes, you're not passionate about it. You're not going to be passionate about every project,
Right.
every client, everything that comes across your board. But it's like, okay, how can I help you? How can I leverage my usefulness so that you can reach your goals?
Right. Right.
That is not, my business is not fueled by passion.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's fueled by purpose. You actually
Mhm.
have a purpose, and that's the differentiating factor that we have to keep in mind when we are putting our work and ourselves out there is like it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
you
And it's
know,
okay. Like
and that's
it
okay.
shouldn't be for
It
everybody.
shouldn't be. Like I said, this is these conversations I love to have because when you are a person who lives on purpose, it's a lonely place. It can be a
Oof.
really, girl,
Nobody says that. Nobody
leadership.
says that out loud, Sayda.
Leadership is a lonely place many times. And I'd like to say you don't have to be a manager or a director or a president to be a leader. It's who you are and the purpose that you approach your life with. Not everyone is like that. You have some people that are like, yeah, I just want to clock in and out and get out of here and go live my life. Come on, I live in Los Angeles. Like, like how many times have you, and you grew up here, how many times have you heard people like, oh, this is just my jump off? This conversation is not for them. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for part 2 when we will discuss why betting on yourself is not reckless because you're not starting from zero, you are starting from experience. So you can trust in yourself because you know the value that you bring. I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe.